Welcome along once again to the Cardiff City Forum. We've got a good panel tonight. We'll talk about various things in some detail, including, of course, City's great win. We've got Keith Morgan with us, who's our man for financial matters, particularly pertaining to CCFC. Derek Brazil, former City player and Republic of Ireland and Man United footballer, we all know and like, I think. And Mark, nephew of Keith Pontin. So it's a pretty impressive panel, all in all. I'll go to you first, Mark, just to ask you about that performance on the weekend. And firstly, of course, coming back from the Plymouth one, where we conceded the 5 goals, that was the way to respond, wasn't it?
Oh yeah. And let's be honest, it was an awful pitch. So they had a good 10, 15 where there was a few passes going great. They misjudged the quality of the pitch, maybe. But once they got their rhythm, it was fantastic. I don't think I've seen a better centre-back goal than that Dylan Lawler. I mean, I was gobsmacked. I mean, okay, they sat off him a bit when he was running. I don't think they could quite believe it either. But I tell you what, that kid's a player. He's. I mean, I don't want him to see him in the top teams in the Premier League and top teams in Europe. What a player! What a player! I'm still shelled. I've watched back about 3 or 4 times. See a centre back do that. I mean, Virgil van Dijk doesn't do that. You know what I mean? It's like, what a player! And it was an all-round great. I thought Ryan Wynn was great. The passing. Yeah. I've always liked Ryan. He had a bit of stick last season, but I always like him when he plays. And I think that the mistake maybe last week at Plymouth was he did play, and maybe he could have made a difference if he was on the pitch. I like him as a mop-up kind of player, and I like him as a playmaker as well. He's got a good pass, you know? And we didn't really strike him, but it didn't make much difference, did it? You know, it was everyone was close. It was great, and on a difficult pitch that as well. Yeah, I'm loving it for fair play.
Derek, have you ever seen a defender make such an audacious run and score? Even in training, have you seen such a goal before?
I was just about to say to Mark, I used to do that regularly.
Yeah. Then you wake up.
No, to be honest, right? I mean, Lawler is massive. Lawler's class, and the difficulty will be holding on. I mean, he's been out for a while. He was on the bench last week. He may not have started this week if we hadn't have, capitulated against Plymouth. But he showed what quality he is. But I think if you, I've looked at the goal a few times as well, and you have to look at the midfielders and the forwards we got as well. Their movement off the ball, to drag players away. Yeah. I'm not saying it made it easier for Lawler, but other players were worried about him, and but there was 3 or 4 players. The movement they made to allow him to do that, and of course the lad finished it off great. He's got to be an absolute superstar, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, Mark, you made a very valid point earlier on about the state of the pitch. For him to run the length of the pitch and have that degree of control as a centre back, it was tremendous, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Keith, you've been going since 1962. So, in
anyone else feel free to say I don't look that old, please.
I think you've got a filter on, haven't you, Keith?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
the youth filter.
Yeah.
So in those 60 odd years,
yeah.
Wow. Is that one of the best goals you've seen from City, and particularly from a defender?
I think so. I mean, of course, he did it earlier in the season to a degree, didn't he, against Orient, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I remember a similar one with Mark Delaney doing a long run from fullback, but he wasn't the centre back. And there was something, after I watched it on the replay, there was something jogged my mind. We had a left back whose name escapes me at the moment, and he went on a run like that. And it was a cup game at Gloucester. I don't know if anyone else can remember that.
What year was that?
Can't remember now at my age, but it was a fair time ago.
Damon Sale,
and we went up there, and he did a similar thing. But of course, that was against people from 4 divisions below us or something.
Yeah, Derek's asking if it might have been Surly.
In theory, at the same level as us.
It won't be Surly. Definitely won't be Surly.
No, it wasn't Damon. I saw Damon Thursday night. No.
Yeah, I would have been him a bit. But the thing is, like, I mean, what an amazing goal, and the boy is definitely talented. And the problem is, you know, I do believe we will go up this year. It's whether we can hold on to him, because the likes of him and Ruben and Ashford as well. Yeah, a lot of clubs will be chucking money at the club.
Don't you think, Derek, that if we're at championship level, I think they probably got to perform at championship level as well, because at the moment championship clubs will be keen to get hold of them. I would think the better Premier League clubs will want to see how they perform, and I'm hoping that we might, even if we do have to sell them, and we'll come up the finances after. If we do have to sell them, we might get a loan back for a season at championship level to help their development.
I think possibly, but I think Lawler, you know, obviously he's played for Wales as well.
Yeah,
I think you can see when you see a player, particularly when I'm a defender, you can see a defender like him, and he's just so unruffled. And I think he would cope with championship, definitely. You know, Ruben as well. There's been lots of talk about Ruben. It's whether the club accept, you know, if you were the manager of a championship club high up in there and you said, well, I'll give you 5 million for Lawler, you know, he's worth more than that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's worth, you know, at least 10, 12 million.
So I was going to ask you that, Derek, because obviously, you know, as a former professional footballer, you know your football inside out and backwards, you know, and you would say 10, 12 million is a realistic kind of sum, yeah?
Funny. I mean, you look at, I mean, the money's gone ridiculous now. I mean, there's championship clubs paying, you know, up to 18 million for players who come from abroad, who are, you know, again, they've never played in the championship, so they've never played in the UK, so it's difficult. But I think for Lawler, if he continues to go where he is and picks up now, because he's been out for a while, if he picks up where he left off before, people are already looking at him, you know, and having played for Wales as well, that's put him in a spotlight. And I think 10 or 12 million for him is quite cheap, because the boy is so talented that if he does well in the championship for us next year, or he does go and Premier League clubs look at him, you're talking 20 odd million. So I'm just hoping Cardiff don't sell him on the cheap, which we've done in the past, haven't we? You know, we've sold players off on the cheap. So I just hope it wouldn't. It'd be great to keep the whole team together with additions. It's such a young squad. Yeah. You know, but
I was going to ask. You know. Sorry, Derek. Just to ask you on that. You know, I mean, I said on the show the other week, and I may well have been wrong. I'm often wrong, as you know. But when the squad you were in was City when we went up, it was that season we got promotion. It was a really small squad, wasn't it? How many players effectively were playing in the squad?
You're talking about 13 or 14.
It was, wasn't it? It was a tiny amount, wasn't it?
That was it. Yeah. And then, you know, if players were injured, then you'd have players up from the youth team. You know, like I'm trying to think who you'd have there, but because I can't remember, we went on a run of 13, 14 games after Christmas, and you know, I think Barnet were following us as well. So it's difficult. I think now they've what 30 players, but sometimes as a manager, I think Murphy's done so well as a manager. It's probably harder for him than it was for Eddie May with 14 players to choose from.
That's a good point. Actually, if you think about it, the squad we got at the moment, we got 3 players effectively to come back in. So Kellyman was out on the weekend. Isaac is still out, being back soon. Of course, Youssef is out of the picture at the moment. But even with that, then I think it gives us something like 20 to 21, including the keeper. So it's not huge. Yeah. So there is a kind of a nucleus to it. But before I go on back to Keith, Derek, have you been surprised how well we've done with such a young squad?
No, I've been like I said, I've seen him in that game 1-4-3, and I think I've seen him twice before. I think it was one of the first games of the season. I think we played Rotherham or something like that, and Rotherham was so poor. I mean, you can't get away from it. League One is a poor standard compared to the Championship. It's a massive jump up, just like the Championship to the Prem. The League One, the teams I've seen have been quite poor, but you can only be who's in front of you. And if you look at Cardiff, on average, they're scoring 3 goals a game. 2 to 3 goals a game, and I haven't been surprised because with Murphy in charge as well, he comes from a good pedigree of young players, understanding them. Now, no disrespecting Warnock, if Warnock had been in charge at the start of the season to now, would he have got the same out of those young lads and keeping the likes of Callum Robinson interested from the bench? But I think Murphy's done such a great job, and he's another one that you would hope that the club would do everything to keep as well. But as we know from history, that's not always the case.
No, funny enough, Keith, talking about BBM, I watched some footage earlier, and when the players were coming off the bus when they arrived, for the match at Doncaster. And all the players came off. It's so different, I'm sure, to Derek's day. They've all got these expensive headphones on, whatever, and just cruising through and kind of nodding, and getting on with their game. Their game head is on, and then BBM comes off and stopping and smiling and taking pictures, and everybody wants to be with him. Everyone wants to be around him, and he's obviously from the same neck and the same part of the world as Derek, not quite the same neck of the woods, but I think he's from Cork. But even so, he's got that kind of he's got a lovely Irish charm about him. He's got charisma. He's got a bit of touch of star quality about him, and everybody wants to be around him. He's doing worryingly well. You see him; he comes across so well. And what Derek just said, does that worry you, Keith, about him maybe?
No, I don't think it does. I mean, clearly the players have got respect for him. I noticed that everyone calls him Brian. Nobody refers to him as boss or anything, but he has got their respect, because what encourages me is even at this late stage in the season, he still makes comments that a lot of the players, particularly the younger one, have got a lot more improvement in them. So he won't settle for this is good enough. And I think that's encouraging. In fact, I mentioned it at a trust event we had last Thursday. And I happened to be speaking to someone who knows his father, who in Ireland is far more famous than Brian, his Gaelic football roots.
Legend.
And someone who knows Jimmy very well said that BBM had said, when people were asking, are we going to lose him? He sees this as only the first stage in a longer term project he wants to get involved in. And that encouraged me that appears to be his attitude. He doesn't want a one season wonder and then move on to something else. He sees Cardiff City as a good prospect to be a long term project.
Can I say to you on that, Keith, as well? Because obviously BBM he's from Cork, and Cork people are lovely. And Jimmy Barry Murphy is an absolute legend, not just in Cork, but in the whole of Ireland. And I know his dad still gets involved in sport at a young age with, youngsters and stuff, and so level-headed. So I can understand why Barry is, so grounded. Just to come to your point there is that he may see it as a long-term project, because he would have felt the love of Cardiff City fans this season.
Yeah.
He would have he's enjoying the players, most of the lads who have come through the system that will follow him. The problem we've got is if he's promised stuff when we get into the Championship by people above, then his hand might be forced. And that, I think he's probably the best manager we've had for a long time now, which makes him the best manager, also makes him quite attractive to other clubs.
Definitely.
So if the project is from above, this is a 5-year plan or whatever, happy days, or a 3-year plan or wherever it is, it's because he'll know when he goes into the Championship, he will need to strengthen. He will need money to strengthen his team. Otherwise, you're going to be knocking around in the bottom 6 of the league most of the season. And that affects fans, that affects players, that affects managers. So if he's got promises, they need to be stuck to. Otherwise, someone will just go, tell you what, he's done a great job, we'll take him.
Yeah. Let me bring Mark back in. Sorry, Mark. You've been waiting there a while.
I'm enjoying it. It's okay.
It's a great chat anyway, isn't it? So in terms of the managers that have been around in your time in City, where's Brian for you?
I really like. I think he doesn't seem to have an overinflated ego or anything like that. But I will take Derek's point from earlier that League One is a poor league. You could argue that he was gifted a good squad of young players, so all he had to do was motivate them to play a certain way and get the best out of them, and he's done that. And the opposition faced, maybe with the exception of this Saturday, the opposition he's faced has been pretty mediocre. I think that perhaps he needs a good test in a championship when he's playing ex-Premier League that have just come down, etc., or a lot more millions in their playing squads, to see if he can really make this young Cardiff, Sunderland. They were a young couple of years ago, and look at them, what they're doing in the Premier League. I think that he's got all the potential to be, a real class manager. I think he's a good work in progress, but I want to get us up the real work start for him, because some of these teams, I mean, I've been to a few games this season, and I've sat there thinking, how the hell are we stuffing these 5-0? Some of them have been awful, and you won't get so much of that in the Championship. It'd be much more of a test for this squad in the Championship. So that, I think he's a good, solid work in progress, and he's doing really well. He's likable. He's obviously got every single one of them players, including players like Callum, Derek said, who would expect that Callum would start on Saturday. He'd been on the bench, the only sort of nice front type figure. He probably keeping his ego in check by saying, "Look, we'll get you on," and he got his goal. Yeah, it
was great that he got a goal. Really pleased with it.
But it's like to control players like that and keep it, etc. He showed that he's a real good prospect. He could be one of the better managers we've ever had, like Derek said.
Yeah, I got a feeling when he certainly has the potential to do it. Let me just ask you about one more thing, Mark, and I want to go to Keith. With Dylan, Dylan Lawler, he's missed quite a few games with various knocks and whatever. And there's a comment there from Sue. His concern is his injury record, whether that would be devalue him. On a similar thing, if he's fit, would you have him in for the Lincoln match? Because it's going to be a physical, long ball kind of game from them, I think.
I'm not sure. My Lincoln centre forward are good. I would have to weigh that up, because you need an experienced head at the back there, I think. But he's such a talent. I mean, talk about the goal he scored on the weekend, but that block. Did you see the block he did when he?
Yeah, he did too. Yeah,
that was a hell.
Yeah,
and he's. I mean, it's too early to say whether he's injury prone. He's a young lad. He's probably not played this intensity.
Yeah,
or man's football.
It's his first full-on season in that way, isn't it?
He's going to have his knocks. He's going to have to know his body and know his limitations, etc. But he's a once-in-a-generation prospect.
Yeah. Didn't we have the same thing? We had the same thing with Ruben Colwill, didn't we? Where he had a spell where he had literally growing pains. Didn't he grow 5 inches in 6 months or something?
Yeah.
And that caused him to have muscular strains. At Dylan's young age, he may have the same sort of growing strain injuries moving forward at the moment.
He's very young.
He's not a mature adult yet, is he?
No.
You forget how young. I was in Casteth near Nice. My wife was doing a Christmas party. Colwell was it? And I looked at it. Was that Joe Colwell? And I thought, he looked too young to be in here. He looked like a little boy, albeit a tall boy. And he was with his. And they all had little Christmas jumpers on, and they went over. They're like they're like boys, you know.
Yeah.
You forget how young they are. I mean,
Yeah.
Was he 20? Dylan Lawler?
Is he even 20? I'm not sure he is.
He was 20 in January, wasn't he?
There you go. Yeah, just turned 20. Yeah.
Yeah, he's still a young boy. You know?
Yeah. Keith, talking about this, I want to just ask you a little bit, because one of the things you want to talk about a little bit tonight is the finances and your assessment of the finances, because obviously that's something that you do well. So with this crop of youngsters coming through, like Kean Ashford, signing a new contract today, 2030. That's fantastic. Whether he sticks around to 2030 or his value commensurately kind of improves as a result of him having a longer contract. They are a fantastic asset, aren't they, for the club going forward, Keith?
Yeah, very much so. I mean, I did an interview a few months ago now, and people said, as a fan, how did I feel about relegation? And I said, it's awful. As a fan, we were all despondent about the relegation. As it's turned out, it's given the club a chance to reset. In a way, it had no option but to invest in the academy and bring these kids through. Because we got rid of, was it 12 players at the end of their contracts?
Yeah.
Because we had to balance out the 10 million quid we lost from being relegated. Because you lose about 10 million quid from solidarity payments from the Premier League and TV and media money. And we did very well to balance that out by getting rid of those players. And I don't know, without having a list in front of me, have we missed any of the ones that we released?
No.
Really?
No one springs to mind, really.
No. So it was in a way forced upon the club to make the right decision. And I don't think we'd have gone for a BBM as a manager if we'd have stayed scraping up. We'd have gone for a Warnock type manager again, or all these ones that seem to go round on a revolving wheel, get sacked by a club and straight on to another one.
Yeah.
So that's worked out extremely well for us, I think.
Just to ask you about the finances a little bit. I mean, the head from the we can't go into fantastic detail in this time, but headline wise, 35 million loss in a relegation season, and that doesn't seem to be great. I don't know how that compares to other clubs. What are the kind of headlines, and what are kind of concerning factors? If you have any.
When I did the commentary on this, as I said to you, I get to see the accounts before they hit Company's House, but under the strict understanding, I can't release a commentary until they do. But 35 million loss is unsustainable going forward. You just can't do it. The previous year, if you compare them, they say, we only lost 12 million the season before. But I don't know if you can recall, we had 18 million of extra income because someone paid 12 million for a share of the Salah case outcome. And we sued somebody else for 6 million. So we had 18 million pounds worth of exceptional income that year. Without that, we'd have lost 30 million that year. You can't carry on. Even with the owner continuing to put cash in, you cannot carry on losing money at that rate. So still some major change has to happen going forward to make it a viable business.
So could that be, Keith? Going back to we said about Dylan Lawler, and Derek said about ballpark figure of 12 million or so value. When there's players, if and when hopefully we go up into the championship, all of their values are going to go up, aren't they? And so if we then end mid-table towards bottom half, you'd think that would be where the club might be able to recoup some finance. Is that right?
Well, I think for the first time for many years, actually last season we had a £6 million profit from Mark McGuinness selling him on. So that was been a bunch. Without that, we'd have lost 41 million. But how often can you remember us having players of decent value that if we do have to follow that option, we've got someone we can sell?
And they're all young, which
outside
increases
the
their value.
big four, and maybe even the top four, who is not a selling club, provided we have a system in place that we can bring in replacements. And do we trust the club to do that? Because we're not going to have every year half a dozen players good enough in the academy to come through and be first team regulars. That's highly unlikely, isn't it?
Yeah.
So something fundamental has to be done. I mean, you cannot run any kind of business. I don't care if you're engineering or a football club. You can't have income of 26 million and just your players' wages are 29 million.
Yeah.
So, when you're losing 3 million before the cost of running the club, it's not very good, is it?
Well, just to talk about that, just to say to Mark, I don't know, Mark, whether you want to go out and come back in, because there seems to be a sound issue, and somebody said you might to improve. Might just be if we come back in, you might be fine. Sorry, Mark. Keith, Sheffield Wednesday, right? As an example, look what's happened to them. Okay, like relegated in February. And it absolutely kind of decimated. Yeah. This thing with finance and financial fair play and all the rest of it, you've got to really take account of it, haven't you?
You have to. That's going to be even more important going forward. This a lot of fans, like me, I want to go along to a game, watch the team, play well, and be entertained. But in the financial background, loads of clubs are still in danger of going bust. I think at a quick glance, when I saw the Cardiff figures, there were 6 other League One clubs that had lost more than 20 million. I mean, how do you run a business like that? You can't do it. And this financial fair play, of course, the accounts we're looking at now are May 25. We were Championship club. So they do this on a rolling 3-year basis as a Championship club. Now, this season, we're on a salary cap, a different method altogether of making sure we're compliant. And I've had confirmation from the EFL that we were compliant despite that big loss in that year, because we made a lower loss the year before and we broke even the year before that. And you're allowed to add back things like investment in the academy and women's football and ground improvements. So we were within the ceiling allowed. And we've stayed within the ceiling allowed of, it's 60% with some adjustments. We stayed within that this year. Now, when we go back up next year, we'll be back onto profit and loss test. But at least we'll get our 10 million quid back from, media and solidarity payments.
Yeah. Keith, can I just ask you, who's in charge of the P&Ls then, the profit and loss?
Within the club?
Yeah.
Basically, Ken Chu is CEO, but doing all the work is the finance director, Philip Jenkins. He's the finance expert within the club, and he's the football finance expert. He has to deal with this separate body, the EFL set up, who monitors what Cardiff are doing financially.
Yeah. So if we win the league this year, in terms of prize money, what did the club get for that?
I think it rhymes with Porthcawl. What you do get is the right to earn those extra media monies, probably sell more season tickets, things like that. There's more money to be generated on the top line when you're in that league. It's a bit like what's the League Cup these days? Carabao Cup. Yeah. I think if you win the Carabao Cup, the prize for the winner is £200,000. Compare that to the FA Cup. Yeah, but it gets you into Europe and things like that. So it's the spin-offs from that success, really, that gives you the financial benefit.
Okay. Thanks, Keith. I know you've gone through all that in detail, and there's a spreadsheet with the breakdown that I think fans can access. I think with detail at some point.
I've also said as well, Steve, that they can through the contact on the Trust website. If they've got any specific questions to ask,
good.
We'll batch them together and we'll try and answer them as a group.
Brilliant. Yeah, thank you, Keith, and thanks for doing that really, really important thing for the club and the fans. Big question for Derek from somebody called Richard Lewis, who I believe you know, and he says, Derek, who has the worst refs, League One or Cumbria South?
Lee Moore, Lee Moore, and he's told me that to Cumbria South for the worst refs. But when we win, when we win extra Thomas, they're great, aren't they? But I gotta say that I think some of the referees they're not helped by the linesmen, and I think if you look at the League One now, there's no VAR. Cymru South is away, so million miles away from League One. But I think I know what Richard Lewis is saying, because he comes to a lot of True Thomas games.
Yes.
And the standard has been pretty poor this year, I would say. By last year's standard of excellent last year.
So Derek, I know he's kind of being a bit playful there, but one of the things that a lot of fans have picked up on in this division, you said about the chasm between League One and the Championship, the standard of refereeing also seems to be, massively weaker at this level. And one of the things put forward was the idea that a lot of the referees are having to deal with all the VAR stuff, so that therefore you get a lesser level of refereeing at this level. My concern with it is sometimes there's some quite shocking, dangerous play going on, people picking up nasty injuries and all the rest of it. And it just seems to be a bit of a free-for-all at times.
But I think it's quite simple, really. It's you got Premier League, which you probably, you've got the best players, supposedly. You should have the best officials. Then you go down to Championship. Then some of them are not good enough for Prem. Then you've got League One referees who are not good enough for Championship. League Two referees not good enough for League One and Championship and so forth. I just think it is what it is in terms of, Mark said about the quality of most teams in League One is pretty poor. I mean, a lot of non-league teams would probably beat some of the teams in our league. And the same goes for the officiating. They're in League One for a reason, because they're not good enough to ref in the Championship. So they are going to make mistakes. They are going to not be as good. So I just think it is what it is. I don't think you can, saying that if you're the Premier League referee, come and ref in League One, I imagine he'd do a lot better job than some of the League One referees, because I think he'd be less lenient as well.
Aren't they? I mean, the thing is as well, Derek, that the League One referees are effectively trainees themselves, aren't they?
Yeah.
And if you see that, a lot of them, I think, I'm not entirely sure, are part-time professionals. The difference between what they get paid for officiating and a Premier League ref is huge.
But it's key. This common sense, right? Because, I know this analogy is probably wrong, but my daughter Ava, right, plays for Courtrawlin, and she plays on the 16 girls football. She's had referees there, and if you've ever watched the girls on the 16 game, they can be quite bitchy. The girls, I think it's very intense. It's great to see, and I've seen some young referees ref that, Ava's game so much better than some League One referees or Championship referees, because they don't use common sense. They're just, some referees are they're not part of the game. They're like, that person in the middle is you just do what I say.
Yeah.
And if they miss something, that sometimes the linesmen are not even strong enough to pull them up on it. It's poor, really. And like I said, when Ava's played games, I've seen better referees who are 16, 17-year-olds who got common sense. Just referees now don't seem to have common sense, and they're either too arrogant or just woeful.
So when you were playing, Derek, for City, obviously you had Mr. Ramsey, I suppose, who was fairly vocal. Was he?
To be honest.
Was he the person who would on behalf of the team, would he sort of try and be the communication platform for the team?
Not really, no, because I think back when I was playing, I'd referees like Keith Cooper, straight from the off, even before the game started, he'd be laughing and joking with the players. So straight away as players, you would feel relaxed going into the game, that the official is not he's not just going to speak to you. But if you did something within 2 or 3 minutes with someone like Keith Cooper, he'd come over and give you a proper stern warning and then pat you on the shoulder, and you just know that's my last one.
Yeah.
So, the likes of Keith Cooper and many others, like referees, they had a personality, and
Yeah.
I feel for them back then, where they weren't getting paid much, for them, they were reffing because they loved the game.
Yeah.
Whereas referees now, do they love the game, or is it just a job to them? So, but no, we had some refs we'd all have a go at, but with Ramsey, Miller, me, the ref wouldn't understand what we were saying anyway. So,
I wouldn't want to be that ref, to be honest, Derek.
No, there's been many a time we three of us and a few others, like even Stanty, would surround the referee and try and make him change his decision and stuff. But fortunately, in '93, everything kind of went well for us. So all referees are good when you're winning, like I said. So
did Keith ever tell you his Alex Ferguson story?
Is that the one where he was late for his train? Was it?
It was the one where there was a bit of an altercation after the match, where he made a decision. I think he'd sent a Man United player off, and they had a little bit of a set to after the game.
Right.
If you're in touch with Keith, I'll ask him about. I know your relationship with Alex is very special to you. Ask Keith.
I've got a story as well.
Yeah. He comes out of it well, Alex Ferguson, in the end.
When I played for Ireland B team in Flower Lodge in Cork, actually. And they had a full team. They had David Adams, Seaman, I think the whole Arsenal back four. You had Dalian Atkinson, God rest him. The whole midfield. They were like the next lot of players. We beat them 4-1. Noel Quinn scored 2. And I played in that game. And it was only a couple of years later that I realised that Keith had refed it.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm like, and you know how Welsh and proud Keith is. So ever since he told me that, I'm thinking, did he ever like get a say on that game? It's like, did he give us decisions the other way? So, but no, yeah, but Keith, he was just one of the referees, Keith, that was human,
Of course, he was a player as well. He's on the books at City, wasn't he, early on? So he had that kind of mentality. The other Keith, Keith Morgan, question for you, which comes from Nigel. Can I ask Keith how he sees the end game for Tan? Debts are magnified by how he runs the club. He's 74, family have no interest, and he can never get his investment back. What does he do, Keith?
Well, I think short term, he has to hang on because he won't get any of his money back at this level of football. I think if we were a successful championship club, then some of the people who've expressed an interest in the past, but for not enough money, will be hunting around again. And that might give him an out. You're right. I think I never remember, is it 11 or 13 children he's got?
Wow.
I think he spent a long time in Malaysia without a TV, I think. So, but I know one of his sons, Eugene, is a football fan. I met him some years ago, but he's a Spurs fan. But he's the only member of the family, I think, has got any interest whatsoever in football. Wow. And they've been all saying to him, why are you still doing it? But I think I touched on it. I can't remember if I touched on it in this commentary on the account or in the previous interview. There's two things that keeps him going. One is this Chinese Malay thing. You can't lose face. For Cardiff City to fold or struggle, he loses a lot of face back home. And then the second one is he needs us to be successful on the pitch and move up the divisions because it makes the club more valuable for him to sell on.
Yeah.
So I think he's here for, I would say, at least a couple of years.
Okay.
And he's pledged his money until at least January 27.
Oh, that's interesting. There's a follow-up question kind of for you, Keith, here as well. Apologies if the sound is a bit intermittent tonight. Bearing in mind, we used to do it in a radio studio, a really lovely studio at the university, which no longer exists, by the way. And of course, we have to do it over Zoom these days, so it's hit and miss with Wi-Fi. So Michael Evans, from reading the commentary, it seemed to me that the club is technically insolvent. If it wasn't for the owner, we would be in liquidation. I don't know if you want to respond to that, Keith.
Yeah, we would certainly be one of the many clubs that have gone into administration, have to fold and try and write off the debts and restructure. as well as a chartered accountant, I spent 30 odd years being an insolvency practitioner. So I know a bit about insolvency in football clubs. We have more liabilities than assets, but we continue to be able to pay our debts as they fall due. So we're not insolvent in that state. But if Vincent Tan were to suddenly turn the tap off, we would be. I mean, in terms of turning the tap off, another thing that sort of gets sneaked in a notes to the accounts, there's a thing called post-balance sheet events. So between the date of the accounts, which was May last year, and January this year when they were signed off, Vincent Tan put another 19 million quid in, which is not repayable. So that gives you some comfort that he intends to continue supporting the club.
So just to say a couple of quick things. Derek could only make tonight. I love having Derek on the show. So as soon as he said it's available, so I wanted him on. And obviously we need to focus on the finances a little bit, and obviously because they're important. But I also want to speak to Derek and obviously also to Mark. But do you mind just dealing with a couple of questions fairly briefly, Keith? Quick one-line answers, if you don't mind. Can you see that one on the screen there?
Yeah. How's the trust doing in terms of numbers? I had the figure as of Saturday night. We currently have 532 members. That's gone up a lot in the last year. What we do want is more numbers. We're only charging £1 a month to be a member. The more members we have, the more of a voice we have.
How do you get to be a member?
You can just go onto the Trust website and sign up through Stripe, and it's all done. Now, where it gives us a gravitas, we're a member of the National Football Supporters Association, but we're also the only supporters group at Cardiff recognised by the Financial Conduct Authority. Now, what that has given us is a direct in to the top levels of the new independent regulator. We've had meetings with the chief operating officer of that independent regulator. So when it comes about now where clubs are going to be enforced to consult properly with fans, we're being pushed by the independent regulator to be the fans' representative group. So the more members we have, the more people will take notice of us, and the club has taken more notice of us recently, but the more they will have to take notice of us.
Okay, there's one more question for you here. Which is a good question, actually, isn't it?
It is a good question. Slightly at a tangent, how I see it happening, anyone coming into the club would settle a figure for Vincent Tan's shares. Now, that will remain confidential. So, I'm plucking a figure out the air. Say they pay him 60 million. Part of that deal will be that he writes off the 97 million that he's owed. So through the profit and loss account, it will look great because he's taken the money off the balance sheet, if you like. He gets paid out off the balance sheet. So 161, isn't it, between him and Torman, which is Mehmet's company? I think it's 137 million of that 161 or 160. So people don't have to take 160 million quid worth of debt on.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Keith. And yeah, what you said earlier was really valid. Maybe we'll come back to that before the end of the show when you said about how people can get involved. It was really good. I didn't know that. It's good to know that. Mark, a comment here from Gamma talking about referees, which I'll just put up on the screen for you, Mark. Then when you respond to that, I got a question for the panel then about referees losing their bottle with VAR, because it was some on the weekend. I don't know if Derek saw any. It's like 5-6 minutes before they make a decision.
Yeah, I think it's still all a bit of a mess, this VAR, isn't it? It's just I don't like it at all. I know that some people do, but it's just spoiling the flow of the game, in my opinion. It's just a bit old fashioned. I like if a ref makes a decision and agrees with his linesman, and that's the decision. I know that there's been a lot of controversial, wrong decisions in the past, but it just spoils the flow of the game. And some of the decisions it takes so long to decide whether it's a pen or the handball or whatever, and it's just I don't like it, but I do agree with that comment. It is they do it does affect the refereeing for sure. When you've got if you're not the sole guy making the decision, if you've got someone watching on screen, you're basically going to be second guessed, aren't you? So yeah, I agree with that.
Ironically, of course, if VAR or VAR, whatever we want to call it, if it existed when we were last in the Prem, we might well have stayed out. But there you go.
I think
Derek, what's your thoughts on it?
VAR is here to stay.
Yeah,
it is. And some of the decisions they come up with just take too long. There should be a limit of 2 minutes. If you've got 2-3 referees in Esley, Stockley Park, wherever it is, they've got 2 minutes to look at it. You only have to look at something twice, maybe. That's it. And go, yeah, that's the right decision or wrong. This 5-6 minutes, and all these different little angles, it's just too much. And I think it's killing the game a little bit, because someone scores an absolute worldie and the fans are celebrating, and the next minute VAR comes up, because you've got players now go round the referee now in the Prem, just when a goal goes in, just to see if he'll have a look at it, if there's slightest check, even if it's nothing there. I mean, you look at this the Chelsea game last night, Sanchez in goal, claiming that he was pushed. I mean, ridiculous. But when someone scored, defenders will go, "Oh, it's not my fault. VAR, something happened."
Yeah.
But I think it just goes on too long, far too long. There should be a 2 minute. Right. The ref made his decision. The people up in the box go, "I think you might have got it wrong." The ref should say, "You've got 2 minutes to prove me wrong." And that's
what
it.
I'd like to see as well, Derek, isn't the idea of VAR that if a ref makes a fundamental mistake, well, some of the VAR decisions are because the striker's shoulder was slightly ahead of the defender, or his toenail or something. That's not a clear and obvious mistake, is it?
You just have to see it. When a goal goes in from something, and a defender's maybe at fault or he's caught out of position, he'll put his hand up, but he's not to blame. Then someone will go straight to the referee. You got to check that.
Yeah.
Check it. And all of a sudden they stop the game then to check it, and it's just players. It's like players diving. We've moved on from players diving in a box to now, hang on, we might get this scrubbed off because of VAR.
Yeah. Following up on that, Derek, as well, the other thing I think it was a Man United game. I can't remember who they played most recently.
No, it wasn't Man United, Steve. Come on.
No, it wasn't Man United. I saw a picture today. It just happened to be a Man United match, and it was a corner coming in, and like everyone's holding each other. Everyone's got each other's shirts and this, that, and the other. I'm not blaming Man United above anyone else, but it seems like when you see the corner situations, there's so much going on in that box, and yet barely anything's ever done about that. It just seems
terrible. You look at Arsenal yesterday, Chelsea were taking corners, and Declan Rice wasn't even looking at the corner flag. He was holding somebody facing the other way.
Yeah.
And like you said, everyone's grabbing each other. Give a penalty, because they'll stop doing it, But
yeah. Or send someone off, even. Or,
but I think strong enough to do it.
Yeah. What would your opinion have been? Do you think obviously VAR was way in the future when you were playing, but what's your general perspective on it as a player? Do you like it, or are you generally against it?
I think I've accepted that it's here to stay. And when I watch games on the telly, if I watch Man United live on the telly and they're playing, even now, if they score a goal, you're always thinking. Your thing is not, oh, it's a great goal, 1-0 up or 2-1 up or equalised. You're looking at the telly going, is it going to go to VAR? It's like we're all robotic to it now. It's like that'll get strike out. I think you just got to accept it, but they've just got to make it better. That's all. You've got to make it. It's more viable for the referees as well, because I think someone mentioned earlier that the refs in the Prem now, you don't know whether they're coming or going. they make a decision and it's wrong. It's like,
and they're exposed, aren't they? It's big money as well. Yeah,
totally. Most referees in that Prem, they must look at that and think, please God, I get through a 0-0 here.
Yeah.
Where there's no decisions that I've got to make, or the scrutiny's on me, and then you've got all the pundits like Gary Neville and all, Carragher, all slagging them off, and it's
you must like Gary Neville, Derek. Come on, you must like Gary Neville.
Guys, he's all right. Guys, it's when he's asleep.
I mean, the other thing I think with VAR is how many referees have we all seen that are brave enough when they're called over to look at the screen because VAR have made a decision. How many referees have you seen that are brave enough to stick to their original decision? Because they're going to get stick from the pundits and things like that, aren't they?
I don't see. This is where I'm saying that it goes on too long.
Yeah.
If they say, like in the box upstairs, right, it is a penalty, right? But then they put it back on the referee to go over to have a look. Now the referee can go over a look, and I feel every time he goes over there, even though he hasn't given a penalty, the fact that VAR have sent him over there, he's going to give it. Yeah. So they should make the decision and say, scrap that TV thing.
Yeah,
we've seen it now in live. We've watched it back. It is a penalty. Penalty. I don't understand why they extend it to the point of like, well, we're not sure. It's 5 minutes. You go over, have a look because you decided it wasn't. Scrap that. That TV bit should be scrapped.
Yeah.
It's pointless, but
So just a couple of quick things to say. Firstly, Keith, if you have time later on, you might want to look through the chat on this because there's some other questions to do with finances.
I'll go back and answer
if you
those.
Can respond, that'd be really, really good. Thank you.
Pete, how do we go about buying a flat in Bulgaria from a news presenter?
Yeah. My advice at the moment is don't.
Don't buy it off him, is it?
Yeah.
Don't buy it off him in the left-hand corner there.
Never buy anything off plan in Bulgaria. Terrible. Look. Have a word with Steve.
There's some dodgy people around, Derek. That's all I can say.
That's true.
I want to change the topic. I want to talk about Lincoln City, right? So obviously, a massive game on the weekend, and isn't it great? I'll start with you, Derek, first, and go around on this. Lincoln City. I never saw that one come in. What a fantastic season they're having. They're just literally a point behind us now. They've got exactly the same goal difference, 17 unbeaten. And this game on the weekend is so set up. So hats off to Lincoln. Looks like they're heading for the championship.
I mean, we were so far ahead at one stage in points that you've got to take your hat off to them. And I think credit to us as Cardiff City and Lincoln City.
Yeah.
That we both get promoted, definitely, but it's going to be one of that. It's actually made it a little bit interesting in terms of Lincoln are pushing us now. So this will help our squad to think, right, we're under a bit of pressure because most games, like Mark was saying, we beat teams by 3 or 4-0 sometimes, home or away. But it makes the end of the season so good. And if you look at, we got 10 games left, is it 10 or 12 games? We got 5 at home. We've got to play, I think, 4 of the teams that are in the playoff positions. That's just about, which is going to make
Pontin
it difficult as well.
Certainly, haven't we?
Yeah, it's going to make it. That's something as well for them pushing, and it'd be a real shame if we don't win the league and get a trophy at the end of the season. For all the fans. But Lincoln won't make it easy. They're pushing, but it's a great story, really, if we can do it.
Yeah. And it's set up the weekend, Mark, really well. It's a good one to really look forward to, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's going to be a hell of a game. But I think we'll sneak it with a home advantage. I think we'll sneak it. To be honest, I think we're technically better. I think we just got to not get overawed by the circumstance. It's we've got young players, but they're so hungry. Or you see, they're on the improvement scales. They want to get better and better and better and further their careers, etc. And they're flowing. The football's flowing. So if we play from the off, and we play with intensity and tempo, I think we'll do it. I think we'll do it. But it's not going to be easy. But I think I think we can do it.
Defensively, they're really, really good. They don't concede
Yeah.
goals. They're quite a big physical side.
Yeah, but we score a lot of goals, don't we? So it's it all depends. It all depends on what team he puts out now, because he likes to tinker with it. I mean, the centre back choice, is he going to play Dylan Lawler? Looks like he's got a knock. You know, is he going to pull Callum Chambers back in, etc., etc.? Is he going to play Wintle? Is he going to play a striker? Or is he going to go like he did on the weekend with Colwell as in a front three? You know, it all depends the way he wants to go. It's going to be a much more physical game, I think, than last week.
As a follow up to that, Mark, if I start with you and go around on this one, then if we don't think he's going to be around this weekend, I suppose he could be. I don't think he will be. Who would be your starting front three if Kellyman's fit?
I'd probably play Kellerman. It's hard because Ruben's fit now, isn't he? So it's hard to slot him in as well. I don't like Ruben out wide really. I like him as a 10 or a false 9. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. But Kellerman's, they both got that bit of magic. See, the two of them, they can. Ruben perhaps controls the game a little bit more. But it's hard. It's an hard one. I can't make that decision.
Okay, Keith, same question to you. Who would be your front three?
I think a narrow win for us. I mean, all praise to Lincoln. What they've done is they've played all season to their strengths, which is this physicality.
Yeah.
Early on in the season, I must be honest, and thought our very young players were likely to be bullied by the big old defenders, and they've stood up to it far better than I thought they would. You know, we're not playing against small centre forwards, are we, in this league? They may not have the talent our players have got, but they're certainly physical. And our players, I think, have stood up very well to it.
Yeah, and Derek, firstly, have you been impressed by Lincoln City, doing so well? And how do you kind of see it going on the weekend?
Yeah, like I say, they are physical side. I've only seen a few of their games, but I would start with Callum Robinson up front against them. Experience. If you can run him a little bit, and then Kellyman has been an outstanding signing for me. I would probably start him as well. But I think, is a draw the worst result for us, or is it better for Lincoln?
It's going to be better for them.
What have we got to follow? We got Barnsley, Port Vale, and teams like that to follow. So it's not as if we're going into which on paper looks a very tough run, is it?
But that's what I'm saying. It's going to be, we're both having 10 or 12 games left.
Yeah.
I think we will win on the weekend, and I think it will be. I went down to that game. I said it was 4-3, and the atmosphere. I went to the Swansea game as well last year. The atmosphere, once the crowd get going, that will spur our team on.
Yeah.
And I think Lincoln probably they won't be used to that with a lot of the grounds they go to.
They're bringing just about 3,000 or thereabouts, right? When we took 3,000 on the weekend.
Yeah.
But 3,000 for them is a third of their home crowd. Their crowd on the weekend was 9,000. We've got 20-odd thousand in City.
It's been fantastic, and I think because they've done so well, 17 games unbeaten, the crowds are going to come out. But I think the atmosphere on Saturday is going to be absolutely unbelievable, and I think
we've sold over 21,000 tickets for the home areas already.
So that's 24,000.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be. It is. It's the first versus second. It should be like that. So we're all going for a kind of slight City win, are we?
I'm going to go 4-3.
Well, that's a slight win.
Or 6-7.
Well,
not even what that means. But...
No.
Mark, what does it mean, Mark?
Mark,
yeah.
What does that 6-7 mean? No idea. You're the youngest one there.
I am, yeah. I got no idea what you're talking about.
Okay.
Well, listen, we'll leave it there. Thanks for a great show, and great to have you on again, Derek. Thanks for coming on. Thank you, Keith, very much for dealing with the financial stuff. and nice to get you on again, Mark. And let's hope City do the business. It was a great game, and if both teams go up, it's not the end of the world. Let's just celebrate success and push on.
Can I sign up with a selling point? Please sign up to join the trust to give us more power than we already have.
Thank you.
Straight on the trust website, you can do it.
Thank you. Thanks, Keith. Cheers all. Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Thank you.
This channel is powered by an incredible membership community on Cardiff City World and patreon.com/Ace Podcast Nation. Becoming a member unlocks exclusive rewards from early access to live event tickets, bonus content, and even the occasional inside transfer scoop when we get it. But more importantly, it allows us to bring you top quality Cardiff City content 7 days a week. Across those 7 days, we're talking match previews, exclusive interviews, instant match reactions, the breakdown podcast, tactical deep dives, the spotlight series, Bluebirds Rewind, Academy Focus, and just so much more. Led by myself, backed by an army of passionate Cardiff City fans, this is content created by fans for fans. Balanced, professional, and 100% all about the club we all love. If you enjoy what we do, then join the community today and support what we are doing as we help to keep Cardiff City World flying high.